Hello everybody. Here is a workout that you can do for a low body session in a CrossFit class. So I'm going to try to keep these points kind of quick and concise. Obviously there's a lot more to movements like the back squat and the good morning, but I'll leave that to the coaches to expand on in their own gyms. This is just meant to be a quick overview of how this session fits together and what exactly we're up to that you might have not seen before. So first 3 minutes, preparation. This is where we give our athletes opportunity to gather the things they need, get their water, get the right clothes on, get the right shoes on, show up 3 minutes late, etc. But it's their time for the 3 minutes. They can start to mobilize, they can visit, doesn't really matter. It just pulls the class together. And 3 minutes in, we immediately start dynamic range of motion. We do this as a group, and we keep it pretty simple. There's nothing too razzle-dazzle about it. It's just a simple, real base piece to begin a warm-up with. It takes about 3.5 minutes. So we start with shoulder circles. We do 10 forward, 10 back. Then we do arm circles, 10 back, 10 forward. We do arm swings overhead, big reach for 10 reps, alternating out the side for 20 total. Head either side to side or all the way around either direction, 10. Hip circles for 10 either direction, and then we go to the floor. After hip circles, we're going to lay down on the floor, and we'll do alternating knee to shoulder, so letting the knee slip past the trunk, pull it in once, pull it in twice, then release, switching to the other side, and we'll do 10 reps like this, keeping our head on the floor and our hips on the floor. The other leg can stay nice and straight. After 10 reps like that, we're going to alternate to 10 more reps, where we draw the knee towards the shoulder, grab just above the ankle, and draw to opposite hip before releasing, and we'll do 10 like that as well. From there, we come back, and we do leg swings across the body, 10 either side, and then leg swings in line with the body. With the leg swings in line, we want to try to let that heel come up to the bum. As the leg swings forward, we try to let that toe point back towards the head and keep the knee pretty straight. Next on the list is mountain climbers. Mountain climbers will start in a push-up position, take a big step forward out to the side, plant that foot flat, push the knee out and away from the trunk, drop hips once, drop hips twice, and then switch sides. So we'll get 20 reps done there. The next piece would be alternating back stepping lunge. 20 reps, knee gently touches the floor, torso nice and upright, letting the front of that hip really open on that back leg. 20 reps there. And now we're ready to move to barbell. So the barbell would be in the rack. This is one of the things that some athletes will do inside of that prepare phase, is have a bar set up already. And we start with 3 to 5 reps on the back squat. Once we've got those done, we're going to move to the first thing on the list, hip side shifts. So we can keep the shoulder stacked over the hip, stacked over the knee. And we're going to push the hips from one side out to the other. We're going to keep this glute squeezed on so that hip moves straight to the side through that range, and avoiding sort of like rotating at the hips, pushing the hip out the side in that direction. So keep it in this plane with the glute on. We'll do 20 on one side, followed by 20 on the other side, and we'll do that 2 times. At this point, we do another 3 to 5 reps in the back squat, and then we move to band good mornings. For band good mornings, you can put the band over the shoulders, and this is where we really try to get people to keep it off like the neck and get it more on the traps. Setting up where once you're in there, you can step in right in the middle of the foot for both feet, and then hinging over the hips, just like we would for a barbell good morning, standing back up tall. And as you finish that rep, squeeze those glutes and quads, and working through at a good solid pace for a movement like this. From band good mornings, we finish out with standing kickbacks. For band kickbacks, if you have one of these bands, this is what we would use for this. Putting the band on just where it sits at both ankles, nice and upright with the body, and we're going to just move through a small range of motion. And the prime mover here is that the piece to focus on is see about contracting the glute and driving that heel back. So contract the glute, and the heel should want to move back in that position. And that's where we're going to go 2 sets of 10 on each side. In lieu of kickbacks, you could also substitute a glute bridge for 3 or 4 sets of 10, focusing on the pause at the top of each rep. Coming off this phase, we're ready to build, and we would only do singles past this point. So past this point, it would be 1, 1, 1, and we get to our weight we would open with. So our opening weight is going to be our first of 7 lifts that we'll do on the clock. You need to be at this point in the class by about the 18-minute mark, which means you've really had to push pace to get here. We'd also have our athletes look at old numbers and build a plan to be able to work up to a new PR. 2.5 to 5 pounds is great. We would definitely look to skip over our previous 1 rep max. So if your previous 1 rep max is 485, we would look to maybe hit 475 and then jump to 490 as a last lift between your lift 6 and lift 7. So we lift under the PR, clear the PR, and move over it. We would really only hit or repeat a previous PR if we know we're working well past that weight, and that old PR will definitely be a comfortable lift. Once the clock is running, the athletes will do 1 rep on the 0, 1 rep on the 2, 4, 6, 9, 12, and then a final rep on the 15-minute mark, at which point we're all done. From here, you could actually leave the clock running, have athletes calculate 80% of their work, and drop down to that weight for 3 sets of 3. So if the athletes are good to go, then by the time the clock hits 17 minutes, they're doing their first set of 3. And the same is true when it hits 19 minutes and 21 minutes. And then you're through that component by the time you get to 22 minutes in since you started running the clock, which would be about 44 minutes in. We then move to good mornings. For the good mornings, we're going to look to start conservative if this is the first time a class is done good mornings. If the class ends up starting too light and ending too light, this is okay, as we'd probably repeat this same rep scheme 5-5-5-5 on the 2 minutes for another 2 second or even third week as well to build on that. So it's better to be a little conservative on a movement like this initially than it is to jump to something too heavy and end up either shorting the range you're looking for or failing to maintain good mechanics and position. The next step from here is band hamstring curl, and we're going to work that movement for 3 minutes. For the band hamstring curls, you're going to take 2 bands, attach them to the rig, pull them through, awkwardly hook them on your feet to varying degrees of success. I'm going to take that tension there. So we're going from this position here, we're going to curl up. As we curl up, you can think about trying to lift the knee just a little off the floor at the top of each rep. And then you're going to look just like this, squeezing the glutes, trying to lift that knee at the very finish, and keeping tension on the bands as the legs go straight. I would generally have athletes have their own stopwatch. So if they need to take a break or pause, they can also pause the watch so they can make sure that they've accumulated a total of 3 minutes. Lastly on the list, plank alternating leg lifts. Again, similar to the hamstring curl, we're looking for 3 minutes total. And again, I'd have them use their stopwatch and pause that stopwatch anytime they needed to take a short break to make sure they've accumulated a total of 3 minutes by the time they're completed this. For the alternating plank leg lifts, the athlete will put their ankles on the foam roller, elbows on the floor, up into a plank position, and they'll just keep the leg straight, squeeze the glute on one side to raise the leg, squeeze the glute on the other side to raise the leg. And we'll just work through like this until we've reached 3 minutes. Hopefully this goes really well. If you implement it into your class programming and give it a go, please post comments and let us know how it went.